Before we get into this video, huge shout out to Carson City Motorsports for giving us the Gas EC 250. Without them, we wouldn't have had a 250 displacement in the shootout. Gas didn't have any. We normally get these bikes from the OEM. Carson City had one. They sent it out from their showroom floor. That's super cool. So looking at these bikes, basically what we're going to do is go through all the displacements and just talk about pros, cons, what we liked, what we didn't like. So the last bike we're looking at, moving up another 50 cc's, is the KTM 300 XC. This is kind of the king of off-road riding. I mean, a lot of people ride this displacement, 300 two-stroke, and I think we all kind of know why. I mean, it works really well in a lot of situations. We'll start on this end with Siebes. What'd you think?
By far my favorite bike. I mean, over the 200 was a close second. Just the first day when, you know, I showed everybody what the loop was going to be. I was there maybe a couple weeks before. We were on 450s, and I feel like the 300 was almost easier to go up the hill than on the 450s. But you ride this bike, and I mean, it's like a John Deere tractor going up hills. You can put in second, don't touch the clutch, hold the throttle, and it just up the hill over the rocks, and a little bit of throttle just pushes that front wheel or even lifts it over the rock. The interesting thing was on day 2 we got faster. I never opened up a 300 before, and my God, you end up going fast when you're on those sandwalk. I did not expect that, but it is a good motor. There's torque, there's top end. It can go slow, it can go fast. This is, like I said, it's the, I guess, king of some off-road stuff. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll second that. Amazing bike. Definitely my 2 favorites of the whole group, if I was picking bikes, would be the 200 or this 300. And the things that I think they did really well with this or develop that way the power character comes on, because like you said, it's super smooth. So if you want to climb and you need it to be really just tractable and smooth, it's there. But if you want to really twist it and haul some ass, you can do that as well. By the end of those sand straights, your eyes are watering. Very, very fast motor. And the other thing was the suspension. They've got the suspension dialed on this thing. I don't know why it feels so much better than the 250, which I would imagine would have similar componentry. This thing, man, from little tiny chatter to rocks to whatever you're hitting, it's just buttery smooth. It was so good. Like I said, the only knock I would have on it is that if you're riding in situations where, and this, I did have this happen the second day. I think you might have gone off in the same place I did. One of these turns kind of snuck up on you, and I was in a 2-wheel slide and went, oh, no, and it dropped off into a creek bed, and I almost went off because you are going faster. It is a little more weight. I'd been riding all the smaller bikes all day long, and so my braking points were a little off, and I'm going a little faster. So if you're in really tight stuff or high speed where if you miss a turn, the penalty's big, the 200 for me was just easier to change direction, stop, and maneuver a little bit.
Yeah, for me, I mean, what I think naturally what I would want to say or expect is that like the smaller bikes are better for beginners and the bigger bikes are worse for beginners and better for more experienced riders. And I don't really know if that's the case for the 300, because it's like if you're a novice rider, yes, you can get out of sorts quicker, but at the same time, you have so much power that comes on so easy. It's like you could point it up a hill that you like maybe don't have the skill to do, and the bike can help you out. With the 300, I found that really cool, that like I am not gonna be hurting for power anywhere, in any situation. Again, I think with a bigger piston, a little bit more rotating mass, kind of has that, it doesn't want to stall as much. Some of the smaller bikes are a little bit easier to stall, and it has kind of a heavier flywheel, kind of like, you know, it's going to stay lit. I didn't stall it as much in tight stuff. Maybe going downhill, like super technical stuff, it's like, okay, it's a tiny bit heavier than the smaller bikes. So if that's like one of your main priorities is to have like a mountain bike feeling bike, then maybe not the choice for you, but like it really does all the things well. And you know, we kind of were knocking the Gas EC 250 for the TPI being, you know, the mapping being off. This is TPI bike as well, and you know, it didn't really have that issue. It ran clean pretty much. You know, when we wanted the power, we had the power. So,
couple crazy things to me with it. We talk about like the creeping and the chug factor. I was mind blown, like you said, how it won't stall. Like you can stop in a rock bed in third gear and just roll it, and it'll roar over stuff. Where there's so many bikes here, like to a certain point, that Two-Stroke wants to, like, you got to kind of keep it idle. The little bikes, you got to kind of rev a little bit and keep them up in some places when you got them in too high gear. This thing, you just roll out the clutch and it just rolls over stuff. And I mean, that kind of character is what makes it so forgiving for so many people to ride technical trails on these things, because it's just, you can do stuff like that. You get into a situation where it's just real tough, you just kind of kick it up a gear and let it just putter through stuff. It's got a lot of power, but at the same time, it doesn't rev slow, but it doesn't rev so fast it ever really lights the tire and bounces off stuff. It just tracks over everything. It is funny, just it's a big bike. It eats up hills. There's like places on the 125 or the 150. You come out a corner, you're looking up this hill with some rain ruts and some rocks, and you're like, oh, you know, if I mess up, I might have to go back down. Like you feel that consequence. No, 300, there's no consequence. There's almost no question that you can't climb something. Back to something I mentioned about the gas, and it's something that makes this bike so fun to me. This is not a trail bike. This is a cross-country bike. It is a difference, you know, like the trail bike on the gas is like an open bath fork. It's a very soft setting. This is an XC bike, so it is moto-based components, just a little bit softer. And I think for all of us having a moto background, like, you can definitely ride the bike hard, but at the same time, it's very forgiving. The bike has enough weight in the big 300. It still feels plush. It still absorbs things. I ride this bike and I can just feel like, yeah, this is a marquee flagship bike for KTM. I can tell they've put so much work into making it just an enjoyable bike, enjoyable experience. All in all, like I said, the guys that look at these things know what they want it for. They want it for that, yeah, real technical ride. They want to chug it. They want to do big hill climbs. They want to go through massive rock gardens on this bike, and that's that's what it's built for. I still take the 200 because I want more of the fun factor, but you really can't knock the 300, I think, in any situation.
Yeah, this was a close second for me. The 150 was my favorite. This was a close second. Like I said, I was really anxious to get on it and just wring its guts out. Like I just wanted to see what it had. I wanted to see how stable it would be at high speeds, and it proved to be amazing. Honestly, I raced 24 hours with Glenn Helen last year, and right now, I would go and buy this motorcycle and line up and race that race right now. I wouldn't change a thing. I felt the suspension was a happy medium between holding up over aggressive potholes and rocks and things like that, but then also that plush feeling when you're riding, you know, an hour or two into the race. It's going to be forgiving over the little chatter and the little rocks and the little things like that. And I was so surprised at how well the bike just handled when you leaned into the corners, and how well the front end would track, and how the bike would just, if you kind of looked in and led with the throttle, it would go with you. It was very, very nimble and easy to ride. I thought it was going to be heavy compared to the 150. You guys said it, like it does have those scenarios where, you know, if you're thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, that motorcycle would definitely help you in those situations and pull through. It was everything you needed and more. I felt like I was really happy with the bike overall, and how well it performed.
Got a question for all you guys. So you think of two strokes, a lot of free roll characters. So like, I think Sean kept mentioning, like, the little bikes feeling like mountain bikes downhill. The 300 has a little more engine inertia. It has, to me, a little bit of engine braking character, not four-stroke-esque, but at the same time, if you're coming down something really steep and you're uncomfortable, I felt like on that bike I could just shove it all the way in first gear. You can let off, like I said, it'll idle and it'll pull you back. So I think that's one thing that also helps maybe somebody that's just not as confident. Did you guys feel like this bike had a noticeable difference there?
Yeah, I noticed that on the first day there was that kind of downhill that was like that long rut. And for whatever reason, I didn't think it would be, but on the 300, that was the easiest one for me to keep my feet on the pegs and just go and not have to mess with the brakes, because it would, you know, slow down that way.
Yeah, the character of this is almost four-stroke-ish in that you don't never really need the clutch. You just work the throttle. There's enough power. And yeah, you're right. When you downshift it, you could just use the gearbox to kind of slow you down consistently.
But yeah, I'll agree with what Ping said. When I got on the bike and got going and released the clutch, I didn't touch it ever again. I really didn't. And I mean, I was going, using the gearbox, up, down, and I mean, I came to close to stopping. I had my right foot down, and I still didn't even touch the clutch. Like, I was mind blown, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if I wanted to go race a long race or in the woods and things like that, where you're stopping and going, and there's technical but wide open stuff. That thing was great in all scenarios.
All right, that's our two-stroke off-road comparison. If you're on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're on vitalmx.com, check out our YouTube channel, and leave a comment down below what is your favorite two-stroke and what maybe off-road displacement you want to see next us compare, and do a little shootout with those. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.